There are just aspects of being a dungeon master that will never change. Today, we discuss these truths and give you tips on how to embrace them.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Brandon.
We hope to inspire you and you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. Now, on to our main topic. A number of truths underline the process of running role-playing games. And they're worth taking the time to regularly review them because everyone has their own different experiences in a D&D game or a RPG in general. And
embrace the darkness.
Some people take different approaches to this. So we're hoping to touch on these bullet points, open up the conversation to the audience, and kind of share our experiences of how we have come to accept these things or how we deal or mitigate with them as we talk about it. So who wants the first one here? Blah. It's pretty straightforward.
Everyone, you and the players alike plays as... Wait, what? I don't know where we're at.
The first bullet point.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Read today. Go. Let's go.
Everyone, you and the players alike plays an RPG to have fun.
To have fun. Okay.
Have fun.
So we were just having a discussion about an
you.
incident in one of our games as Ian was one of was the GM and had felt that a player was getting snippy. So I ask you, did that make the game fun for you?
It did not.
Have you been in a situation like that where a player is snippy or something that takes away the fun for you?
Not yet.
Yeah. And I want to point out, I've been seeing this both as a GM and as a player.
Yes.
And I've seen players be snippy to GMs and to players themselves. For that matter, I've seen DMs be snippy towards players at times too. And that just, no matter what the situation though, is that always sucks the fun out of the game.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a player. We both have a player.
We do?
He tries to keep... He tries to keep us on track of the game when we start sidetracking. And it always happens. It's not him. It's an M.
He does that too.
It starts with an M and ends with at.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about you, Matt. Let's keep going. So, as the GM, when we want to...
But that does have its place.
You know we love
yes, we do love you. As a GM, I tend to get on rants. Or I talk about specific things that are interesting during the game because I am at a game with my friends, right? And sometimes things come up and yes, I can tend to drone on, but for me, that's part of the fun. And so I hate it when I'm ruggedly just cut off when I'm talking about something and somebody else at the table tells me to move on. But that's also does have its place. And so I would hope that if I told you that takes away the fun from me, the player would be willing to approach it in a different way. You know what I mean? Instead of just say, hey, can we do this? Say, hey, yeah, that's great. Can we talk about it later? Definitely is a better direction to take that. But the goal of a game is to have fun. Mm-hmm. And every player, it is every player's responsibility to ensure that everyone is having a good time. And it's not just on the GM, right? The players engage in the story too. Mm-hmm. They are part of making the game exciting. But as a GM, if you don't tell them that, they're not going to know what.
Yeah. Like letting things lie and not addressing the issue does not help.
Yes, it just builds up. Oh, hey, speaking of the Silver Wolf, there he is. So Weapon Killer says, playing always using your idea and take credit for it, and a GM take his side, and you are put into the shadow for it. What the hell? So that's definitely something that could be awkward and hard to deal with, right?
Like, or one example too, though, is like sometimes the DM has to step in just to mitigate some stuff so people do have fun.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time we're at the shop, at the old shop. Mm-hmm. I had to step in one time where we were playing an Adventure League game. A player basically said his hit points were currently at. Okay. And then another player jumped like, "You are metagaming. You do not do that." And I looked at that player like, "Whoa! When I am running a game, that is perfectly okay behavior."
And that's part of it's a game.
On a scale of 1 to 60, I'm a 30.
So honestly, that's the first point, and that's
Yeah.
obviously the most that's the most important thing to remember. At any point, if you're at a table, regardless of the game, and you feel like people aren't having fun, as a GM, you can kind of guide that back to a fun place if you spot it. Unfortunately, that's part of being a GM. You've kind of taken this leadership role. And because of that, that sort of stuff tends to fall on you. So keep an eye out for that stuff, and just remember that that's the goal of any game.
And I also want to take a moment to address too, though, is something that most people don't seem to realize is at the end of the day, everybody has their own play style for how they want the game to go. And sometimes it's okay to step back and go, maybe what the root issue is, I have a completely different play style from this individual, and they're just simply not compatible. It's okay to step back and admit that, and to move on from a game you're not enjoying.
Absolutely.
God damn.
So go ahead.
No, I'm looking at the camera there. Why didn't you guys tell me I had a big ass forehead?
So this is interesting from my wife's perspective, who is spelling perspective with a bracket. That's weird, but okay. She says, players being a dick, lightning bolt him, you're dead, move on.
That's adversarial DMing, though, at that point. I can't feel
yeah. This is really interesting. So Andrew says, if a new player is facing imminent character death, that depends on a single dice roll. Do you metagame at all to help them avoid said fate, or do you let them take a chance? That depends on the DM. Me? You're shit out of luck. Roll with it.
I would say it depends on the player and the DM, and especially if that's their first experience.
Okay, I see where you're going. I can see that.
Yeah.
If you don't want new people, you don't want to turn people off to the game, right?
Yeah.
So I can see that. What about you, B?
If they can role play a specific way while they're dying, I can be like, I gotta reward that. Maybe then give them an advantage on a death save or something.
Yeah. See, I don't do that. I always give players an option to run away,
right?
And that doesn't necessarily mean everyone's going to get a chance to. But once again, that's me. So
I remember reading a story online actually where, and this was in an earlier edition of D&D, where a new player was playing a Paladin, and I stressed new player, and because of an earlier edition, all the other players were at higher levels. Well, this Paladin player was at level 1, and they encountered a room with a demon in it, and the other players were like, run away, powerful demon, and the new player's like, well, I'm a paladin, and I'm a hero of justice, and that demon's evil, and so I feel like it's in character for me to attack this thing, even if I don't feel I can take it. Because
please tell me they died and everyone else got away.
No. Well, the player who was a wizard was like, well, this guy's toast anyway, so whatever, and threw a fireball into the room.
Fair enough.
And the DM's like, I don't. And the DM's like, this guy's a new player. I don't feel like I should be punishing him for this, especially when he doesn't necessarily understand the game very well.
Yeah.
And let's be real here. When tossing a fireball onto a party member is kind of a dick move. So he's like, I'll tell you what. If you roll safe, I'm going to see what you get. Rolls a nat 20. He goes, you know what? Roll again. Paladin roll save again. Another nat 20. It's like, and suddenly, as the fireball explodes, a white hand of your god suddenly appears over you, protecting you.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Delcinia says, I once ran a game where the players ended up escorting a literal god of chaos, and I put them through all the shit they did to me. I can appreciate the revenge.
That sounds fun.
Vengeance. As long as it was all with not in good fun and not within like an anger type situation. All right. So the next point. Players don't often care as much as you think. Dear God, this is so true.
To a point.
Most players do not care about your world as much as you do.
It's true.
And no matter what you do, no matter how much you send to them, they are most of the time not going to read everything you send. They're not going to take notes. Luckily, we got an awesome note taker. Matt does a phenomenal job, which helps me because I take shitty notes, so I just go back through what he wrote.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell nobody. It's my secret.
Our notes for last session. A half-empty bottle of a potion of healing, a sexy goblin, and a tavern with a dragon over it. These are grammar notes!
So the reason I touch on this is because, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but there's a lot of DMs who try to bottleneck and shove and push and boot players in a certain direction so that they get to experience this fantastical world that they've created. that the players may not have interest in. Has that ever happened to you?
I've
Not
definitely
really.
seen it happen.
Yeah, I've been at the table where we were not interested in a political style game. This was, I think we were playing 3-5.
Back to the play styles.
Yes.
I don't
And
like political.
what
games.
was interesting was I was really the only one that was kind of interested, and nobody. And at the time, that's all I cared about, combat, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And most of the rest of the group felt the same way. So we kept wanting to go to bounty boards and do all these other things, but it got to the point where the DM just flopped the 2 competing NPCs right in front of us. So we had to run it, which comes into the being railroaded so that your story unfolds. And most of the players, they don't necessarily care about things as much as you do.
Yep. Well, it's kind of worth noting, too, though, that on one hand, the DM does perhaps spend a lot of time prepping stuff ahead of time, so it is considered, at the very least, polite on the player's part to at least move towards the adventure that was built. On the other hand, a DM does need to learn how to adjust on the fly, too.
Yeah.
Or at least take what they already built and adjust it.
That's what I was
As
doing
needed.
on start playing. I recently had 5 players that were interviewing me because they want me as a long-term DM.
Oh.
They want to
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, it's cool. But they want to make sure that they're getting the right guy.
And that's
And I
true.
said, I got 3 campaigns that I can do. There's Dragon Heist, which is very roleplay heavy and political. They're like, no.
I don't think so.
It's like, okay, good, because I don't like it either. And there was my homebrew, and then there was Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I said, oh, that one's a really big dungeon dive. It's like, oh, I like those. Oh, me too. Yeah, this goes on the whole basis of trying to make sure that I'm going to give them what they want.
Right.
Not something that's just
And-
random.
And to warn you, I experienced this yesterday. We started integrating Dungeon of the Mad Mage into the campaign I'm playing on Saturday.
Mhm.
That first floor of the dungeon's fairly empty and lots of walking doing nothing. Just to
That's
warn you in
not
advance.
fun.
I've noticed that. I was throwing more shit in there.
I want to give a huge thank you
Yeah.
to Stephen Pop, who has purchased our weapon perks and says that it has been an awesome addition to his table. Thank you so much for the kind
Well,
words.
actually, pretty
He
cool.
actually posted some really cool looking cards that he made for custom items that he used.
That's not Steve Hanadal, I don't think, is it?
Oh, never
In our
mind.
Discord. Dulcinea says, as a DM who runs a game for people with very short attention spans, we would be good friends. Just know that you will never command 100% of their attention 100% of the time.
It's true.
And especially with clicker apps involved. But that's part of it. So once again, it comes back to the play style, and we have to be ready to remember that fun is the number one choice, and making that kind of happen is everyone's job, but it does fall a little more on the DM.
Yeah.
But I just want to reiterate one more time, when it comes to world building and things you want to do, the players don't care as much as you think.
Yeah.
So make sure that whatever you're doing is something they care about.
Now
Because even when they do, they don't care.
Now I'm just flashing back to a player who kept on to a toxic degree, kept on doing what their player would do, and was basically not participating as a result.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going down into a mine shaft? Yep. But my wolf can't follow because it can't climb ladders. It's a wolf. It can take care of those. I'm not going to leave my wolf by itself. Okay.
That's douchey. Well, you need to. We've decided that we're going to hire somebody else. Roll up a new character that can fit down that doesn't have a pet.
And there was one time too where a seer saw the feature of it basically gave it a prophecy of doom, and only that player was present.
Mm-hmm.
And that player's reaction was, whatever, and walked away.
Anything interesting happen on your trip? Nope.
Ian, do you want to pick up the next one there?
Yep. As a DM,
Baby Bjorn.
you are not the enemy. A GM should always be a fan for the characters.
Oh, I skipped one, but that's okay. Yes, so
We'll watch it.
we've talked briefly on competitive GMs. You can play those sorts of games, but everyone needs to be involved in that decision.
Yeah, and there are players who are fans of that type of
Yeah,
game.
and if you do something like that, I recommend always having dice open roll. That way, if something bad happens, it's 100% on the dice. And I also think it's important to have certain expectations met for something like that. But overall, as a GM, you're not out to get your players. You're not out to make sure that they're dead. I hate GMs who brag about how many player characters they've destroyed. If your team is good with that, that's great. But usually that's not what the game is about.
And To me,
I'm gonna
anyway,
look that up in a second.
DM first and foremost is a referee,
Question. Yeah.
and
Yes.
he's the one who. They are the ones who set the game up that the players will be encountering, and they're also, depending on the play style, a storyteller.
Right.
They work with the players to have the game,
And
and
that's critical.
And a lot of people forget that if you're a DM with no players, you're just writing a book.
I also like to say that,
Which is hard, by the way.
Well, Pond Killer says or asks, and it says, my first Dungeons and Dragons game, he joined a group, or they joined a group that was already at level 3, and they wanted to play some kind of a knight, and the entire group insisted, "Oh, you should be a cleric because we don't have a healer." I hate when that happens.
This comes back to point 1. Everyone wants to have fun, and not
Yep.
everyone enjoys being a healer. So the real question is, if you thought you needed a healer, why weren't one of you it? Because the same reason he probably doesn't want to be it, right?
Yep. Actually, I constantly see in Overwatch, like in like a casual quick play. I've lost count how many times people will scream, "We need a healer!" Okay, change.
They probably don't like that, do they?
No, they don't. It's like,
And-
because my complaint is, if you're going to complain about it, do it yourself.
Do it yourself, yeah. And actually, that's exactly how I became a healer in World of Warcraft and in Final Fantasy.
Yep.
So I played a shaman for healer forever and WoW, and then I finally started playing Final Fantasy 14, and I rolled another healer, and I had been a healer up until this year, and I've been playing since the game came out, because I always wanted to be that person that filled that role that needed to be needed. I didn't want to struggle because we didn't have a healer, you know?
Oh, and I assume this was put in by Alicia. Can't the healer be an NPC run by the DM? And you know what? I've seen that.
Yes.
In fact,
Yeah.
I've done that. Like for a campaign I ran, there's only 4 players, and the only healer, if you want to call it that, was the bard. I say it like that because that was not his main build in mind, and I can't blame him for that. So every time I knew they would be coming up on a extremely dangerous dungeon, usually was the fire cult. A certain NPC would always appear to help them out, and I tied in his storyline with the fire cult.
Oh, what did I just
So
do?
So it would always make sense.
Did you just
I think I just blocked somebody on accident.
go to Enforcer down at the bottom where it says Enforcer Hound? One was blocked.
Right here.
Yeah, and I think you can right click that.
Nope.
Oh, you're fucked.
No.
Anyway, and this character was a multi-class of light dome of a healing domain cleric and druid.
You done fucked up.
So they were really good at what they did.
I'm so sorry, dude. I just blocked you and I don't know how to undo it.
See,
I feel so bad. Alicia, if you could figure, you didn't do anything. You're fine. I'm sorry.
Okay. Scientific YouTube Studio, left menu, quick settings, community.
Well, he just responded, so I think he's good. He says it's fine. I'm so sorry. I was trying to reply. Oh, at least you got it. All right. Thank
It's
you,
so
honey.
stupid that the reply button is right next to the block button.
It's the second time I think I've clicked on it. Anyway, so
God damn.
yes, ask your question. So in the meantime, why don't we move on to the next question with Brandon? Because once it
said, "Shh, move on." Yes. Players want to see their characters do awesome things.
It's true.
oh my God,
And
yes,
that's everyone.
All of them. All your players.
everyone at the table wants to be awesome. In one thing, I can only speak from my personal experience, but one thing that I constantly try to do is when we play a game, I always try to shift the focus of every session to a different player. Have you picked up on that at all? That every time we play, each player gets kind of a show of their own, right?
And that's good.
Right. And that also means that there's going to be a lot of times with a group of 4 people where you're not the center of attention.
And that's okay.
But because you know it's going to come back around, like we're moving on to, I think Garmora's character is supposed to be the next was the kind of the next one with Selesnya, or I think we
Yep.
did that already.
And we kind of had like and shoot, we dedicated an entire half hour to just to Austin's character.
Yeah, and it was great, and I really enjoy that. So
And
when
my character got attention too with the is it guild?
and next up is our changeling, which I'm super excited for because I got some fun stuff for that. Anyways, characters want to do awesome things, whether it's in role play, whether it's in mechanics. Let them do awesome things. I cannot tell you how many times that a player has hit a monster and they had like 4 hit points left, and I'm like, how's it end? Because I would rather it end on an epic note like that and then it just keep going around and waiting for somebody to hit. You know what I mean?
And it moves things along too.
And it moves things along. That's a big part of it. All right.
Not gonna lie, one note where I felt pretty awesome was when we did our live play game that one convention.
Oh yeah.
And was a troll brought down his club on my barbarian who was raging, who was also a Goliath, and like I use Stone's endurance. Oh, and they gave all of his damage.
It very much is reminiscent of that Superman versus Wolf. What's the big bad guy in the
Dark side.
no the big axe thing? It just stops and he says, "Not impressed."
Oh.
Steppenwolf.
Yes.
All right. You want to hit that up, or unless you got something?
Yes, I am. Enforcer, just tell him that laws exist.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows what you're talking about, bro.
Okay,
You
fine.
have to read
I'll
the
tell
questions so the
I'll tell you,
audience
bro.
knows.
Bruh. God damn. Okay, so they're saying that a GM friend of theirs is running a game, and one of their players is being a murder hobo. That's what they're doing. They're killing innocent people and destroying buildings and stuff. And like, he doesn't want to punish the character because he feels the player's going to feel that that's going to be personal. It's like, well, the easiest way to take care of that is every city in Faerun has laws.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Murder of innocent lives is
Definitely
pretty
a problem.
fucking illegal. So
It's Champions, which is a superhero game, mind you, but the
Same thing applies, right?
right. And okay, it's one thing is like it is fair to say sometimes your actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
like, look up.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. When I was running Dragon Heist, there's a appendix in the back.
We have a whole episode covering. Go ahead.
What
What's it called?
laws?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laws of the Land.
Laws of the land. Oh, that's right.
We did a whole episode on it, so go back and listen to that, where we talk
Yeah.
about how awesome some of these laws are that aren't just killing people, but flogging them, locking them in prison. Oh, you're in prison for 3 months. Well, what do? Roll another character to play the game.
No, they say it's
in 3 months, in 3 game months, he'll come back out and you can play again.
they say it's a different system, modern day superheroes.
But it doesn't matter, right?
Then give
The
give-
context is the same.
yeah, pretty much just give the character some sort of like kryptonite. You cuff them with something that's going to make them go, oh, can't go anywhere.
Or have you guys rather seen The Boys?
Oh
I
my
have.
god.
The entire point of The Boys is to put down superheroes who get out of line.
Oh, you need a whole. But see, that goes back to the violence thing. So for me, in what was it? Carbonite City, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
There is a whole spiel about public view and how and actually in our Capes and Crooks too. There is a
Generation
scale
House.
that your character earns or fame or infamy, and as they get that, they get less jobs if they're infamous. They get more heroes chasing after them because they are technically the bad guy. You can do that same thing in your games, whether it's Champions, Capes and Crooks, which you can pick up at critacademy.com and support us by playing the best 5th edition superhero game you will ever see.
Alicia, good job for being on top of that so fast.
Yeah, right? So the next one is players love breaking the game, right, Ian?
Oh my
Yes.
god.
And you should too. And then let the game evolve rather than having a game-breaking scenario become the norm. So what do you guys think that means?
Min-maxing, using strategies that are highly effective. Coming up
Okay.
with ideas that other people just don't think of that are out of the box that come up with a new solution you probably didn't think of. And the benefit to this is when a player has a chance to flex his muscles,
Let
that
'em.
gives the GM a chance to flex their muscles in response too.
Yes.
I don't mean that in a pushback or adversarial way.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can have a lot more fun now.
have anything?
Yeah, mine was, hey, I bought these 3 oil pouches. Can I light them up and use them as a fireball? It's like, oh, I'll act as if they're a fireball. You just give me a dex attack or a range attack because they're throwing fire.
Yep.
And it worked. And then it's like from that point forward, it's like, were we at the store? Yes. Do they have oil flasks?
So how'd you put an end to that? Or you didn't?
No, I didn't.
So this is what I failed to mention this beginning. I found this as a meme on the internet. So I have no idea where some of these writings come from. So if you've seen it somewhere, please let me know. Anyway, so what I think this means by evolving rather than letting game-breaking scenarios become the norm, when a player makes a let's say a broken combination in your game, and you realize that it's going to break everything, there are a couple options you can do. Saying no the first time they do it is certainly the wrong thing to do, especially if it's written that way and allows for it. A couple things that you can do. Let's take the super smiting Paladin as a contrast, right? So they are strong. They can put out a lot of damage, and they can be hard as hell to hit. Really hard to hit and defend yourself when you're knocked off a cliff.
Yep.
So there are solutions with
Ooh.
putting them in situations where that stuff isn't as effective. I wouldn't do that all the time because then it becomes that kind of competitive GM line, and you don't want to cross that. But if you have one series where, or not episode, game session where they're super powerful, maybe in the next one they become the weak one because you set it up to allow the wizard that can fly or the tiefling with wings to fly to shine, and their short smites and heavy armor become an issue.
And Scott says he had a DM try to totally nerf Divine Smite without telling him ahead of time.
I gotta touch on that.
Yes, please do.
If you're a DM, don't nerf any kind of spells. If you think a spell is overpowered, give the monster some more HP. Just feed just a little bit more. It's like, oh, you didn't get it. You almost got it that time, but not this time. Yeah.
Well, and the reason for that is while everything Wizards does or any game team does isn't perfect, there's far more play in those things than you will ever do.
Right. And as we have talked about for various tips over the years, it's like, some things are not as well thought out, or some of the rulings completely change things here and there too, which does not help. And actually, using the Paladin example, I saw a player who was maybe a player or a DM who was complaining about how they thought it was broken that a Paladin can use their bonus action spell slate and their divine smites. I'm like, okay, I will admit
they're out of juice.
That does right. I'll admit that does create one really big hit, but when you look at the economics of the spells, it actually reduces their damage over time because the spell-based smites do way less damage than the regular smites.
Right. And
they burn through your spell
burning through your spell slots just means you're boned. So to me, it's the same as driving your car with the floor pedal all the way down. Sure, you're gonna go fast as fuck, but you're gonna run out of gas really quick, and you're not gonna get nearly as far as you would if you took a steady pace. And that's exactly how those classes are designed. And as I said, most companies, specifically Wizards of the Coast, has thousands and thousands and thousands of people playing these. Do some things get overlooked? Yes, it happens.
Because they're people too.
Yes. But in the same token, if you do decide that you know more than them and you're going to make a change, you damn well better be making sure you're letting your players know before they make their characters. Because that's bullshit. Oh, you're playing a Paladin? Well, you should know that smite does half damage, just so you know.
So why am I playing a Paladin?
Yeah, I'm going to change my class. Oh, you want to be a cleric? Sorry, they can't actually wear medium or heavy armor in my game. What? Yeah. Don't do that shit.
Yeah, I think we both remember that one DM, that one shop that kept on changing stuff on the spot.
Hate that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're running out of time here. So, Brandon, you want to pick up that next one there?
I forgot where we're at.
Here.
Being a DM is stressful. Yeah. Being a DM is stressful regardless of how long you've been doing it.
Yes.
Yep.
So a lot of I can't speak for these guys, but a lot of players ask me, I'm really worried, I'm concerned, I'm stressed out. How do I get through this? You don't. I've been running D&D for a really, really long time, and I still get nervous even when I run games for people that I'm close friends with.
I actually find casual games personally to be the least stressful, but that's
But there's still still some sort of stress that comes with that though?
Yes, there is.
Because for me, even with my friends, I get up until it starts. Once it gets going, everything's fine. But leading up to that, I wonder, have I prepared enough? Do I remember enough? Do I know what's going on? All those things kind of coalesce into a pit in my stomach until, shortly into the game. And that has never gone away.
You guys should have been there when we did our live audience game.
Oh my God, yes.
For like 4 or 5 hours before the game, he was sitting there going,
Like I was literally shaking and I felt sick.
It's so terrifying.
And I have run D&D for so many years, but in front of a large audience, I was like, oh my God, can we cancel it?
What if it fails? What if
it went great,
there's only 2 people playing the game. Me and Ian just run like normally
and
would.
It went so well, and the audience had a blast.
Yeah,
I actually commented on our game after the fact on Facebook, but then out of the blue, a Facebook friend of mine who I had not talked to in years went, that was you guys?
Yeah, and isn't that so awesome?
Like a guy I knew was in the audience, and he had no idea it was me. To be fair, I was wearing heavy makeup. So,
and you did look. Everyone kept calling you Grog too, which was pretty funny.
That annoyed me a lot.
But anyways, when it comes to being a GM, it's going to be stressful. There's a lot of work that goes into it. You'll never be perfect, and you know what? That's okay. You know, smoke a doobie, drink a beer, whatever's going to help you calm yourself, and then it'll all be gone in a few minutes.
We only promote doobies in legal states. We can't just say that you can do it if it's illegal.
What? You don't smoke cigarettes?
Doobies?
Yeah,
that's
cigarette.
That's pot.
Well, it clearly is now. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
What do you think it meant?
I know what it meant.
It's okay. It'll be legal.
I was trying to fly under the radar, but
radar.
Anyways, so wow, look at that. The link to our live play is in the chat there. I totally forgot that was on the internet.
I just realized.
All right,
we never finished that adventure, even though we said we would.
Well, they never ran Shadowcon again.
So
that's not on me. Anyways, so the last one here is you're the adult in the relationship. We touched on this a little bit earlier.
That's lame.
When you become a GM, when you become a GM or the person running any game, you are the adult. You are the person who is the leader. That's going to come with responsibilities that you don't want. And that's just part of picking up that role.
That's so true. When you become well behaved, you get advantage on shit.
Right. Well, yeah. Andrew's talking about don't make your DM worry about snacks. They got enough to do. I agree. But anyways, that is the unfortunate side effect of being a game master that's never going to go away. You are expected to be the person that people go to when there's a problem.
Oh.
And it can suck. Man, can it suck.
That hurts. You know the guys I was just talking about that interviewed me?
Yeah.
They've been playing since 2E.
Wow.
And one of them's been playing since Advanced. So they're like 40,
really old.
45, 50.
Yeah.
And I get to be your DM. Great.
That's why it's important to find out if you're a right fit.
Yeah.
Find out where they fit on the do's and don'ts. But anyways, as part of being the adult in the relationship, you will have to sometimes fly in here. I just swatted myself.
Yes,
and you'll have to sometimes settle arguments and end debates and end games early so it ends on a comfortable note. And that's going to be challenging.
Yeah, like the biggest thing is if it does become adversarial or players being adversarial toward you, here's the big thing. Do not be adversarial back.
Yes.
Like what I usually find the best way to go about it is I usually open the statement. Okay, let's back this up a little bit just to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to do a rewind, right?
Yep.
And Dulcinia's got a really good example here. She says, "Oh man, it really does suck. I have a couple players who really piss off the other half of the group, and I have to play referee when it gets really, really bad." That is certainly part of the challenges, but in spite of all the challenges that comes with, being a GM can single-handedly be the most fun aspect of the game.
Yes.
Dulcinia earlier had a really good example when she talked about how her players built a damn near indestructible druid, and then it occurred to her that I can make druid enemies. So there's a lot that can go into that, and being the GM is you get to play you get the most play out of the game.
Wait a second. I've had the chance to use play as this max character. Is an NPC there to fight now.
And that's usually nearly having a player quit over it. That's definitely something that needs to be discussed, especially when it comes to inappropriate comments or jokes or anything like that. So, all right, is there any other topics, things that are going to be truths for being a GM and how to embrace them?
And like I was saying earlier, sometimes your DM style is not a good fit for a particular group. It's okay to say at the end of the day, hey guys, I don't think this is working. I am not having fun.
Yes, please do not run games when you're not having fun.
Yeah.
Because then you just make it miserable for everybody.
Here's
more so yourself, especially yourself.
Yeah.
Here's a GM truth. If you like making maps, if you like doing maps, it doesn't matter if it's this super intricate map or if it's just drawn on the back of wrapping paper with a grid.
What are you trying to say about my maps?
You put too much time into them.
I don't do
mean,
that much anymore.
I-
but, man,
I-
they suck sometimes.
They suck. They look really good. I like them,
I'm gonna
but that's more work you're putting on yourself.
That I don't have time for anymore.
not gonna lie though, especially when I run in-person games and I'm using a map that I write dry erase on. 9 times out of 10, I'm coming up with that map on the spot.
And that's the real secret. When in doubt, make that shit up.
I tell you, my next project,
King of making up shit right here.
I can't wait to do this, but I'm gonna go get some like foam board, and I'm gonna recreate the Haunt mansion house.
Oh man, if you have not run The Haunt by Phil Beckwith, oh my goodness, you are missing out.
I love the Haunt.
One of my favorite adventures, the horror haunted style ever. That crazy little doll climbing up on my players. Oh, it's great.
I can't
Anyways,
wait till next Halloween because I'll be doing a Haunt 2 and 3.
Nice.
Doll, meet Grey Ooze.
Damn it. Another way of breaking the game. Didn't think of anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyways, I think that'll do it for our main topic, embracing GM truths.